Hi everybody, Giovanni here for another episode of Better Late Than Never, a series where I play old games that I've never played before and discuss them in a sort of modern context. Now in the last episode, we took a look at Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which is a very good Mario RPG. And in this one, I wanted to look at the sort of flip side of that, and yes, that pun is very intended, because in this episode, we're looking at Super Paper Mario. Now, like Bowser's Inside Story, Super Paper Mario was a well-received Mario RPG, though this one was released on the Wii in 2007. But unlike Bowser's Inside Story, the game doesn't really hold the same level of cultural appreciation. And I've always wondered why that is. So I picked up a coupon from My Nintendo, which, by the way, yes, My Nintendo still exists, and I decided to see how it holds up. Whew, and I've got to tell you, I've got some frustratingly contradicting thoughts on this one, so bear with me. These are my three biggest takeaways from Super Paper Mario. Number one, the Mario franchise needs games like this. When the Wii U came out, I wrote an article about Super Mario Bros. Wii U, and in it, I criticized Nintendo's modern marketing philosophy, which is that it's giving consumers a new way to play. Now, in actuality, I felt that they were giving players a new way to play the same games. In Mario Wii U, the gamepad doesn't do much more than really just give you a new way to press the A button. And look, okay, to an extent, I get it. The Mario franchise is pretty tightly made, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But with how fast games move, it's hard to imagine that 2D Mario games will be relevant forever. And in that sense, I think that Super Paper Mario is a kind of smart response to that. Now, there are a lot of great ideas in this game, but the biggest one is the core mechanic, which allows you to flip from 2D to 3D. It's brilliant because it makes players completely rethink how spatial reasoning works in a Mario game. Rather than just going through the normal pipe-warping motions, players are rewarded for how much they're willing to deconstruct what we're familiar with. In 2D, you can collect a whole row of coins, but flip to 3D and hey, what do you know, there's a whole nother row of coins behind them. Or, hey, are you tired of trying to jump over piranha plants? Well, just flip to 3D and run around the pipe entirely. And sure, yeah, it's too self-referential to be as meaningful as something like Gone Home, but it gives us a new way to explore and think about a world that we love. Now, that said, number two, this shouldn't have been a Mario game. And okay, that's probably so annoying for me to say, but look. There was once a time where Nintendo could pump out memorable new characters like nobody's business. Hell, I mean, they have an entire franchise based around how good they are at making characters. Now, as much as this game is filled with Mario staples, Goombas and mushrooms and Luigis, it has a ton of fresh elements. The world of Flipside and the 2D characters that inhabit it are notably unique. Plus, the Pixels, which are this group of pseudo-fairies that grant you abilities like letting you shrink, feel like a new IP in their own right. There's really no reason that this needed to be a Mario game. And yeah, you would have lost everything that I just praised in my last point, but it would have given us a new world to explore in the long term rather than just presenting a one-off side quest for Mario. I mean, look, imagine if Splatoon had just been a Mario Sunshine spin-off. Could it have worked? Yeah, sure. Would it have been as fresh? No. The Inklings shaped the world of Splatoon into something original that isn't bogged down by these fan-servicing references like Super Paper Mario often is. And speaking of feeling bogged down, let's get to my last point here, which is that, number three, this style of Nintendo game is exhausting. Ultimately, I put about 13 hours into this game, but it felt like 25. The first half was a joyous adventure where I smiled every time I discovered a new secret or a new way to rethink space. But around Chapter 6, I lost any enthusiasm I had for playing this game. And there are a few reasons for that. For one, the game runs out of clever ideas about halfway through, but still insists on having 8 worlds because, hey, that's what a Mario game does. This leads to filler levels like one in particular where you need to tediously defeat 20 rooms of almost identical enemies. And seriously, that was one of the most boring things that I have done in a Mario game. But I think the thing that really makes the game sag is Nintendo's newer trademark goofiness. Now, Mario RPGs in particular love to get silly, and hey, sometimes it works. I mean, Bowser's Inside Story is a great example of that. But here, it becomes an absolute chore. By the end, I found myself skipping through minutes of dialogue. I just didn't care. I stopped laughing and I wasn't having fun, and to me that's such a far cry from the old school Mario games. Super Mario World, for example, is a really tight game that doesn't overstay its welcome, and it never tries too hard to be funny. It just kind of is. I mean, it's funny when you look at a Boo and it shyly covers its eyes. There's no need for 2 minutes of riffing to make you laugh at it. There's a reason why I can happily play that game over and over again, but I'm shuddering at the idea of going back through Super Paper Mario for a second time. And don't get me wrong, it's a good game, it's just one that tries too hard to be funny, which only serves to obscure what's actually good about it. The kind of tight gameplay mechanics that Nintendo effortlessly does so well. Well, what do you think of Super Paper Mario? Do you have fond memories of it, or do you detest it? Let me know in the comments, and trust me, I've heard both sides. And as always, you can subscribe to this channel for more episodes of Better Late Than Never. See you next time.